Bullshit.
It's the No BS Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich, CEO and founder of Massolutions, the world's only no bullshit marketing firm. Today, I want to talk to you about transactional versus transformational. I'm a change management person. Throughout my career, I've been a part of leadership transitions and change management, and I've often heard this term about transactional leaders and transformational leaders. After giving it some thought, I realized it's actually applicable to marketing, especially applicable to customers, people who are buying marketing services. Here's why it's important to you if you work in marketing or if you're someone who might actually buy marketing services. You need to be sure of what you're looking for and honest about it during your search. Here's what I mean. Transactional marketing is when the buyer, the client, the business looking for marketing services thinks like this. I know what I want to do with my marketing. I have a pretty good idea of how I want it to look. I want to talk to somebody that can implement that for me, create that for me, because I don't do the creative stuff. I want someone that can make it look good for me. That is a transactional marketing situation. That is a transactional buyer of marketing services. So you need to find a transactional provider of marketing services. Both sides tend to not be honest with themselves because most people would love to say the other word, transformational. Most people would love to say that. Here's the reality. The reality is that in many instances, the buyer is transactional. They don't often admit it. Throughout my career, as a chief marketing officer, as a CEO, as a turnaround agent, and as the CEO of a marketing firm, time and again, I've had people say to me, I want some ideas. I want a creative solution. I want to hear from you. I want you and your team to come back and tell me what we should be doing. But that's not what they really meant. What they really meant was they had some ideas. They had a general idea of how they wanted something to look, and they wanted someone to implement that. Completely fair. Just make sure the firm you're talking to hears that, and that that's their specialty. That they're primarily a tactical activation firm, that they can do that in a commodity format and give it to you for a great price. On the other hand, if that's not what you're looking for, if as a buyer of marketing services you say this, I'm not exactly sure what I want. I know I want to be responsive to the market. Heck, I'm not even exactly sure who the market is really in great detail. I have a general idea of the target markets, but I don't know exactly who they are and what they think and feel. And you know what? I've seen some good marketing in my career. I've watched some good marketing, heard some good marketing. But I'm really open to have something created here for me. That's a transformational buyer of marketing services. That buyer wants something transformational, completely different from transactional. So if that transformational buyer is talking to a firm that's more accustomed to transactions, a firm that's more accustomed to tactical implementation, a firm that's more accustomed to activation, you're going to run into problems and you're going to have disappointment. This is what's really critical to anyone that's listening to this. Doesn't matter if you're the buyer or you're the marketer or you're the owner of the firm. The reason no BS marketing exists the most is the lack of open, honest communication by all parties. If I'm a big predictive index proponent, and if I happen to sit down with someone and say, in predictive index, there's the A drive, and the A drive talks about how you like ideas, how comfortable you are with creating ideas. Are you the person that's most comfortable with creating ideas, or you're more comfortable implementing and collaborating on ideas? If I tell you that you're not the one that creates the ideas, 9 out of 10 people, when I present their PI, they get irked, frustrated, defensive, as if it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. If everybody just sat around and created ideas, nothing would get done. The same thing happens if I would say something, are you a transactional marketing firm? or a transformational marketing firm? Everyone's going to say transformational, but come on. It's not the truth. If I said you were a transactional buyer of marketing services, or do you want to buy transformational marketing services? Again, you're a buyer out there, you're hearing this, you'd tell me you want transformational. So the first reason BS marketing occurs is the lack of the transparency and the honesty amongst every party involved. What I do to try to overcome it is I quickly talk like this. And as a result, I can sense many times that people can't wait till the meeting's over. They want to get me out of the room. That's fine. They can continue to do transactional marketing and they'll continue to do well, reasonably well. They might be in a situation where they're a commodity. I had one client that was in a commodity industry, and they didn't want to hear any creative ideas. They said they did, but they didn't, because they're in a commodity. They didn't have to go to market with all kinds of different strategies. So someone can get by on transactional marketing. Some people can even thrive and make a profit if they're in a unique market where the barriers to entry are significant, or it takes a long time for someone to catch up with them. But there's a whole lot of people over here that have companies that need to be transformed in the marketing standpoint. And those companies need transformational marketing. So those are the ones that have to be honest about that and look at the work of whoever they're talking to, because that marketing firm isn't going to say, I'm a transactional marketer, I don't want your business. I barely even blame them, because we all have to eat. I built my company, and I know there's many times I took bad business. Didn't mean the person was bad. Didn't mean the client was bad. It meant it was bad business for me and them, because they wanted a transaction, and we do transformation. So I'm not criticizing anybody who takes business when they're a transactional marketing firm and they try to kind of buffalo that by when someone's looking for transformational. I wish they didn't, because it gives us all a bad name. But that's the reality. So what I'm saying to everybody out there today is, if you're the buyer, be honest. Come in and say, I'm going to drive this process. I'm going to walk through and direct you. I'm going to give you ideas that I think will work, and I expect you to take those ideas and make them even better, but they better look pretty close to what my idea was. I had one CEO that I worked for that did that. It was a big challenge. We're friends, worked through it, learned from each other, both grew. But the reality is he was transactional marketing. I tried to move him, and I did move him towards transformational, and we had some success. But that's how it is. So you need to be honest about it if you're the buyer. If you're that transactional buyer of services, go and find a firm that's transactional. But then don't complain when your stuff is transactional looking and it's commodity ideas. So that's the buyer. If you're the marketer and you work at a firm that's transactional and you've got the energy and you've got the drive and you're creative and you like to do more than just what you were told, and you want your ideas to be heard, and you're willing to work and get things done, and you don't punch a clock, and you don't worry about the hours and stuff, you just get the job done and have a quality of life and balance, well, then you need to be at a transformational marketing company. And I'm telling you here today, if that's honestly you, reach out to me directly, because I'm looking for talented people that want to be transformational marketers. Every day I'm looking for them. But you need to be honest. If you're that person that is a transactional marketer, there's nothing wrong with that. But be that. You're an activation-driven person. You're an implementation-driven person. You're not the creative, strategic-driven person. Be honest about it. If we can all do that, it's going to help the buyer. It's going to help the employee. It's going to help the firm. It's going to help the marketing industry. And instead of 95% or more being BS marketers, we can flip that. First get it to 50% no BS marketers, then 60% no BS marketers. This is the step to do it. I ask you, can you just be honest and say what you are? Are you transactional or transformational? Be open to it, be honest about it, and live it. Thanks for listening to this episode of the No BS Marketing Show, recorded in our own studios in bold, beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.